Newsflash, I will not be at the Masters Olympia in Tokyo.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back for another installment of the Palumbo Podcast. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by my partner in crime, John Romano. And we have special guest, Jimmy Mentis here.
Hello, guys. What's going on?
The old Florida crew is back.
Yeah. It seems like John's beard has gotten thicker and Jimmy's has gotten thinner. What's going on?
Well, like I said, it's not like there's just foods that I'm trying to eat and I just couldn't eat.
That delicious Greek food from the Greek trucks.
It's the whole tzatziki sauce and on the gyros my brother was making. It was just all over me. Tammy was like looking at me, like, do this. I'm like, it ain't happening.
I've noticed that there's a lot more Greek food trucks around. I don't know if it has any. Is that like a big thing now? Greek food trucks?
All food trucks.
I think my brother inspired a lot of so-called Greeks.
I took my kids to this Great American bounce house thing like about 2 months ago, and it was like enormous bounce houses, and there were like three trucks there, Greek food trucks, and I ate at them because I think they get the best food. But
the Greek food trucks, especially, the whole category is just boom.
Blowing up.
My brother's got 6 trucks now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now.
It is what it is.
Maybe you should take over. You should get a couple trucks, like as part of the fleet.
Who, me?
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat all the profit, man. I ain't going over there.
you and Big Ram, like Ramy has like fishing boats.
Yeah.
You and your brother have food trucks. It's like the same thing, kind of.
I always tell him.
Not even close.
Yeah, not even close.
The Egyptians fish, and the Greeks make
and a
food.
Greek food truck.
The Greeks cook food. The Egyptians
and the Egyptians are ripping it out of the water raw.
Yeah, they rip it out. They sell it to the Greeks.
The Greeks
maybe they could come together and the Egyptians could give the Greeks the fish.
I do know the grind's the same though. It's a grind.
It's nonstop. My the guy who used to live next door to me, John, that like weird guy.
Yeah.
He was a fisherman and he had his own fish store for a while. And every morning he was like the old man of the sea. This guy would get up at 4 a.m, rain gear if it rained, it's winter gear if it was winter, 365 days a year. He'd be out on that boat fishing. And I don't know if he loved it or if it was a labor of love or if he just did it because that was his living. But man, I would look sometimes out my window and I'd be like, thank God I don't have to go out in that fucking horrible weather.
Well, my dad's like that. My dad's 92 and up to 2 years ago, even a year ago, he will go out on this boat, this Greek, like this rowboat, like he was just like, he had like 2x4s so it won't sink, and he would go out 4:30 in the morning. My mom's like, you're not going. So my brother went on vacation. Went last year on vacation and bought my dad a brand new boat.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Basically got on my mom's shit list.
So now your father's definitely going out on the boat now that he's got a new boat.
He's got a boat.
But he's been doing this since he was a little kid. He loves fishing.
Because your mother's thinking to herself, one day he's not coming back.
Yeah. He goes out all by himself, right, at 4:30 in the morning. He's 90-some years old. And he's like, how am I going to know he's not going to come back?
But you got to do like the Norwegians, and you got to knit the sweater with the pattern in it. That's what they say. So the old ladies used to knit the sweater for the fishermen with a certain pattern in the weave. And they would, if that washed up on the shore, they knew the guy was dead.
Yeah. Wow.
Nowadays, you can use one of those little eye things. You know, the iPad, the iPhone thing.
Oh, the AirPod
tracker. It's like a tracker, right?
AirTag.
Yeah, that'll work.
Crazy, man.
Your mother should AirTag your father. Yeah.
You guys been good?
Good. I think Valentino has an AirTag up his. You know what?
There's a treasure trove up there. You can find all kinds of stuff.
I saw a couple of your podcasts and stuff. What's going on with Valentino?
He's he's a little senile, but he's
he's an old Italian man.
He's an old grumpy Italian man. Look, the guy lives the life of Riley. He's his own boy. Him and his girlfriend, they go dumpster diving. They get old stuff. They redo it. He's very artistic, Greg. His father was an artist, and they revamp the stuff and they sell it on eBay. All they do all day long is sell stuff. So, and then he goes to the gym. What do you say? Twice a week he goes.
2 a.m, twice a week.
2 a.m, twice a week. He trains for yeah. I don't know why he goes so late, but he does. And he's got a weird schedule. I don't know. He's a kooky old guy.
He's got. I feel bad that he's not here because we're digging on him. But
no, I love.
No, he's got to go to the gym at 2 a.m. because he's got to spend the rest of the day tending to all the lawn art.
Yeah. Well, they are in business. They're like the American pickers.
But he's got statues. He's got on his lawn. He's got like this. Collection of lawn statues, the pelican and the jockey and all of that old Long Island Italian, the lawn litter,
the gnomes,
Is that part of the landscaping or is that for sale?
I think it's for sale ostensibly, right?
Yeah, he's got no other place to put it, so he's.
It's like Sanford and Son,
right? Right. I used to love that show.
Jimmy, every time you can pick anything. I said one time a wheat shawl flute, and he had one.
Yeah. You know that I was watching a thing with the who was the guy who played the son, Lamont? Remember?
Lamont.
What was his name? I don't remember his name. I think it was Desmond Williams. Whatever the actor's name was, he was doing an interview and he was saying, when we filmed that show, because it was in front of a live studio audience, Red Fox and I were packing heat. They had guns because they were scared, because it was such a controversial show. They were afraid someone was going to pull a gun in the audience, and they're like, we were just going to fire back at them. And we were packing every show. He said,
if they were scared then, imagine now.
Right. Exactly.
I always imagine Archie Bunker giving the commencement address at Harvard.
You can't even do that show now. It would never go over.
No, the Jeffersons All in the Family.
All in the Family, the Jeffersons. What was one with Florida? The old maid from the Jeffersons.
Oh, Good Times.
Good Times.
Yeah, with Jimmy Dynamite.
Yeah, Dynamite.
And Welcome Back, Kotter. You couldn't do Welcome Back.
No, yeah.
That was rough. Welcome Back, Kotter was rough.
I mean, think about it. John Travolta became a star from that.
Right.
Did he ever?
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it.
So, why no Olympia? What
I knew you guys meant it.
Well, I want to bring up before we go to the Olympia. I was watching Artie Lang. Artie Lang used to be on the Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
And he was talking with what's the guy who was on Saturday Night? Norm Macdonald, who I think is hysterical. Norm Macdonald?
Yeah, he did the news thing. Right?
Talks like this, Yeah. So what was that skit you did, Artie? You wanted to do? They wouldn't let you do on Mad TV. And Artie had this idea to do a skit. He was going to call it Good Will Smith. And it was, it was going to be a takeoff on Good Will Hunting, the movie?
Right.
With Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And he was going to play a janitor. Will Smith was going to play a janitor in all black school. And there was going to be a math equation on the blackboard that he was going to solve that no one could solve, except it was going to be 2 + 2 is 4, And Will Smith was gonna solve it. They're gonna be like, "Who's the genius? We've been working on this for 8 years. We couldn't figure it out. Who solved this equation?" He said. Norm Macdonald was dying. He thought it was so funny. He's like, "What happened? How come they didn't let you do the skit?" He goes, "They said it was too racist."
Oh, Jesus.
Good Will Smith. How funny would that have been?
Here goes all the humor. Like, there's no more humor.
You can't do anything funny anymore. No, because everyone's offended. Everyone's offended.
No, you can't be.
But I think the tides are changing. Actually, I think the pendulum has swung so far to the insane side that now it's just people are realizing, like, what the fuck? What are we doing?
Right.
I was on YouTube. Obviously, I mean, I've been on YouTube for almost like all day, and I watch these little comedy skits, right, from the comedy laugh or whatever. And back then, no one used to, crack on the comedian, right? Now people are fighting with them.
I know. They're crazy.
People are actually swearing at them and fighting them and saying, "Hey, you're racist and you're this and you're that," and it's just gotten out of hand.
Well, it's the naivety, the ignorance, not naivety. It's the ignorance of the people that are making these arguments. They say things like fascist. They have no idea what fascism is. One of the most difficult terms to describe and identify in the English language. And these people use it like for everything. It's right. Fascist. Really? What's a fascist? Or what are you doing here? What are you complaining about? What are you protesting? They have no idea. They just know that the slip said to come at 10 o'clock and hand in to show your ID and you're going to get a sign because George Soros is paying you. So they have no idea what they're protesting. They have no idea what they're talking about. All of just look at the news about this guy, the father, the Maryland father. The Maryland father is a convicted MS-13 gang member who has been identified by 2 separate courts as an MS-13 gang member, an active MS-13 gang member who is found in an active MS-13 environment and could only have been MS-13 because MS-13 forbids communication with anybody else other than MS-13 members. The guy is an MS-13 designated terrorist.
Did he have a tattoo also?
Yeah, he had the tattoos. He had the clothes with the bullhorns and the dollar signs and the eyeballs. He had everything. If you ever lose it, looks like a duck, talks like a duck, smells like a duck. This is the duck, okay, with 100%. Yet you got these fucking retards in the media saying Maryland dad. The Maryland dad was sent to he's an El Salvadorian national. He's a citizen of El Salvador. Where are you going to send him? To Paris? I mean, what the fuck? That's where he belongs. So, and now you got a congressman flew on taxpayer money down there to try to get him out of there to bring him back so that they can deport him.
Yeah. Wasn't the congressman the same congressman as the victims?
The Rachel Morin, same constituent.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I think it is? It's like, okay, we all agree freedom of speech. Get that? We agree with that. I agree with that. We all agree with that. But the thing is, you can say whatever you want, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get punched in the face.
But beyond that, it doesn't give you carte blanche.
Right.
You cannot yell fire in a crowded movie theater. That's the standard, legal expression.
Right.
You cannot utilize your expression of your freedom of expression to cause trouble. Danger, harm, hurt somebody else. You can't do that. So these
peaceful protest
with the police car burning in mostly peaceful.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm saying it's got to be peaceful protest.
Yes,
that's what
it's supposed to be. But these participants, these protesters, are so ignorant and so stupid and so misdirected that they are absolutely retarded. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea why. They have no idea of the consequences, and they have no idea who's behind it. They are absolute idiots.
Yeah, well, that's 90% of the population. Let's switch gears for a minute to this Masters Olympia, because I've been very intrigued ever since Hide kind of announced with the promoter that they're doing the Masters Mr. Olympia this year in Japan. I thought it was a great idea. I didn't know how they were going to make it work or how they were going to market it or who was going to be in it. But I don't know if John, you or I speculated, or maybe Chris and I speculated. Maybe even with Jimmy, we speculated earlier that it would be nice to be able to get some top names, maybe throw some money at guys like
we talked about that.
Or Kai Greene to try to get them in the show. Kai actually expressed interest in doing it to me when I interviewed him at the Arnold Classic. He said, but we'd have to make the numbers work. So that means that he was looking for, I'm assuming, airfare, hotel, probably some, maybe an appearance fee, I don't know what, or some guaranteed money. If I'm running that show and I'm sure they're paying a pretty penny for the sanction from Jake Wood.
What's the pretty penny?
I don't know what the sanction is. I don't want to go on. Do you know what the sanction is? The fee?
No, I don't.
Well, you usually know all that stuff, Jimmy. You're always a behind-the-scenes guy.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't know the exact amount, but the thing is, there's got to be other components that around this, right? Because this guy's a promoter.
I'm thinking they're paying $100,000 to do the show.
Yeah, but don't they also promote the amateur Olympia as well? And don't they promote some?
I'm saying they're probably paying a lot of money in sanction fees to get these shows. Are they going to be making money there? I hope so. Otherwise, it's a pretty bad business model. But so they get this Masters National. Okay, if I'm the promoter, I need. Remember when we talked about this movie before, John? The movie. I think it's called In the Air or something like that, or Air. It might just be called Air. It's about how Nike landed Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
And they were
I saw it.
It's a great movie. And they were trying to say, they were going to try to get a couple of athletes to represent them because they were a very weak brand during this time period in the 80s. Because they were really a running shoe company. And they just said, you know what, we're going to throw all our cards behind this one guy because this guy I think will sell. And they went for it. And obviously we know the history. The rest is history. Yeah. But if I'm a promoter in Japan and I'm paying a lot of money already for the sanction fee, I'm going to try to get the number one guy I can possibly get. If I can get Phil Heath or Kai Greene in this show, I know I'm packing that place out. I know that I'm going to sell pay-per-views. I know everyone's going to want to watch this show. I don't care what it costs to get these guys because look, bodybuilders are not Michael Jordan. It's not going to take a lot to get them. You just have to show them a little bit of respect and say, hey, look, I'm willing to put some money on the table. It doesn't seem that this promoter wants to do that. Jimmy,
you got to look at it like this, right? This guy wants to promote the Masters Olympia. I don't know what his other objectives are or what he wants to get out of this. Maybe he's a distributor for major supplement companies over there, right?
Well, you want to attract some attention, don't you?
Right. So you're bringing people in, and I don't understand at what point that if someone's willing to pay their own way, right?
Yeah.
It's the Masters Olympia. If you're going to do with qualifications, which they do, right?
There is a qualification thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do the invite?
Well, they had an application, right? That you
can... Why have the invite? If you're doing a qualification, there's a reason why you're doing the invite.
Right, but I would think that the invite thing would be for guys like you who haven't competed,
right,
and want to get invited, right?
Yeah, guys like me, did
you fill out that application by March 31st?
Not only did I fill it out, I also got an email back from Alina Popa asking for a copy of my passport.
Okay, so they were considering bringing you in, or at least letting you in the show.
We can go in deeper depths later on if you want.
That's what we're doing now. I want to find out exactly what's going on here because I know you were all gung ho on doing this thing. The qualification
in spite of my objections,
the qualification period starts on August of 23, and it ends August 3rd, 25. So if you can still qualify. So top 5 from each division at the 2023 Masters Olympia. And the winner of the 40-plus class only in each division at Masters Pro contests held during the qualification period. Why don't you do one of these qualification shows, Jimmy?
I don't know if they're any close. I think there's only one.
Doesn't Tim Gardner hold one?
Yeah, and it's a week before the Japan.
Perfect.
Before.
No, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Right. And there's another one. There's another one the same weekend. As Masters.
All right, so you either qualify or you're a Mr. Olympia already, like a Brandon Curry, right? He can probably just do it. Or Phil Heath for that matter. And then they have a couple extra spots that
I think anybody who has graced the Olympia stage has the automatic qualification.
I don't think so.
No, it's top 10.
I don't even think that's right.
It used to be top 10.
I thought you told me that Ronnie Raquel wanted to do it.
Yes.
Ronnie was top 10 at the Olympia.
Right. Ronnie, from my understanding, also submitted his application.
Okay. And did he get accepted?
He's not on the list.
He's not on the list. All right. So can he still qualify, or is that what he's planning on doing?
I don't know. I know because there's a really good friend of mine that's Greek that lives in Germany that's really good friends with him.
Right.
And he had told me that he was going to apply, and he was basically a shoo-in.
Well, the guy was phenomenal back in the day. This guy has won pro shows. Well, who's better qualified? And he's a good-looking guy. He was a great bodybuilder. Who wouldn't want this guy on their Olympia Masters Olympia stage?
Yeah, really.
And I heard he's looking really good too recently.
You look at some of his posts, his latest posts. He looks pretty good.
So you got to wonder what the business model.
Right. That's the thing. And in a way, I posted a video, and I'm not here just to, I'm on the podcast so we can just shoot the shit, but I don't have any ill will towards them or whatever. It was a business decision. Am I disappointed? Oh yeah, I'm very disappointed because
you did not get invited. Is that the idea? Okay.
No, but let me tell you, on Thursday, I was on the list.
Oh, you are? And how did you find that out?
I'm going to hold.
All right. Yeah, don't give your source up. Jimmy's got good sources. I trust your sources.
Yeah, on Thursday, I was on the list.
All right, here's the list of people who were invited. Odilon Batista, who I don't know who that is. Alexander Bessedin, I don't know who that is. Marcelo Pedro de Cruz, I don't know who that is. Stop me if you guys know who these guys are. Young Byung Kim, don't know him. Daniel Corman, I know. Walter Martin, I used to work with, I know him. Jung Soo Park, don't know him. Logan Robson, don't know him. Marius Tomzuk, and Todd Whitting, I know. But
Todd Whitting, I know too. And you know what? I think it's a great add-on to the lineup.
But this is not moving the needle. No one's buying a pay-per-view for this list of people. I got news for you. As much as I'm friends with Walter Martin,
these are the invites. This isn't the full.
No, I know. But I'm saying if you're going to invite people who are not qualified, wouldn't you think to invite like a Ronnie Raquel?
Well, I think you guys are not appreciating the fact that this is an international list.
No, this is
from all over the world.
And it looks like there's a lot of Asian people.
A lot of Asians, my point is if you think of it from a U.S. bodybuilding perspective, there's a lot of names that we don't understand on there. But if you look at it from an international bodybuilding perspective, there's only so much room and so many people, and they want to have as big of an international audience as they can, probably to help sell the pay-per-view.
Right.
So that's what happens. It's unfortunate because what's going to happen is if you're watching this show, you're going to see this flood of people in front of you. You have no idea who they are, and none of them are going to be very good.
Yeah.
And
my
question
is good. I'm sorry, John.
No, I'm just saying you're going to be stuck with a mediocre list of people that you don't know.
Right.
And then it kind of takes away from the Masters Olympia because you have no names up there. You have you have.
All right, let's go back to Ronnie Raquel for a second.
Right.
Why wouldn't Ronnie Raquel be invited?
And Nabino Mobutu is.
Yeah. Ronnie's from Germany. He's not American.
Okay.
So
right.
You want to go
here's my take. I don't think, and there's a reason why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I don't think the promoter wanted anything to do with the past, unless they were qualified, and it is what it is. I think he wanted to keep the lineups fresh. I think he wanted to keep some kind of dignity towards this Masters Olympia. He wanted to make sure that
the Masters Olympia, Jimmy, is about nostalgia.
I said that. If you watch my video, I said that.
It's a nostalgic show. That we want to see even if we're disappointed with the nostalgia aspect of it, we want to see Kevin Levrone up there. We want to see Flex Wheeler, even if they're not at their best, just so we can say we see them again on the stage.
Well, that's the whole point of having a Masters division, is that once you've graduated into the Masters level, you're no longer competing with the young bucks.
Right.
Well, some guys are. I mean, they shouldn't have made it 40 and over. They should have done 45 and over or 50 and over, but that's another story.
And details. What I'm talking about is the fact that there's no graduation. You're not seeing in the Masters lineup, you're not seeing the guys that used to be in the Open.
Right.
And that would be technically what you're looking for. If you're looking for a Masters show, you're looking for the guys who used to compete in the Open. Now, what's this fresh new faces about? How do you have fresh new faces of old men? You know,
it looks like they wanted to keep the active ones, you know,
but nobody's ever heard of them.
It should be 50 and over.
Well, here's the thing. There's a warm and fuzzy feeling, like you said, right? I mean, look when Kevin came back.
Yeah.
I made sure I was at that show just so I can see him and hug him backstage. And like, dude.
I remember when Samir did the Masters Olympia a few times recently.
Yeah, but he held too much water at the end, buddy.
He didn't deplete sodium, John.
He didn't sodium the right way. But excuse me, Jimmy. Yeah. But what you were just saying, Dave, is there's a crew of guys: Kevin Levrone, Chris Cormier, Flex. Well, not Flex anymore, but
Lee Priest.
Lee Priest. You know, you could probably round up 8 or 10 of them off the top of your head if you thought about it for a minute. And these guys would be natural progressions from Open to Masters, and it's what the people want to see. Like Jimmy just said, I made sure I was there so I could see Kevin. Imagine if Dexter Jackson was competing, or Phil Heath, or Jay Cutler. People would make a pilgrimage to see these guys.
You needed one big star, like a Kai or a Phil would have made this. Once you get that, and then you fill it in with guys like Brandon Curry, who's over 40. I would imagine he's going to do it. He doesn't even need to qualify. He's already an Olympia champ.
Well, I'm shocked he's not on the list because he actually posted, or I think it was confirmed that he was doing the Masters Olympia.
Well, he doesn't need a list. He doesn't need to be on the list because he can just go. He's an Olympia champ.
Yeah, he's not on the list. Wouldn't they put him on the list to promote that he's on the list?
No, the list that came out, Jimmy, was only guys that they invited. They didn't.
No. There's a list on the website of who's doing it and who's qualified.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find.
And is Alfred Mobufru de la Vega on there? I mean, I've been dying to see him for years.
What you call it? Phil Klahar, he's doing it. He qualified.
Phil's good. Yeah, he's a guy who can win that easily. Yeah,
but there's no standout names on that list where you can look at and say, "Wow, I remember him from the Open."
Right. The thing is, like the reason why I was doing it was obviously when you compete and you get ready, you go to win, right? But I know my reality, but I was still going to give it all I had. Okay. The thing is like, don't forget, I've been with the IFBB since '84. I represented my country in European championships. I placed top 3 in the Balkan championships, the Mediterranean championships. I toured the world years, and I've created this fan base. If we had social media, then forget it, right? Covers of magazines, this, and this. I thought. Forget my competitions, my pro things. You know me. I treat this as a business, and I competed and I ran for photo shoots and I did what I did. But I thought it would be nice to have guys like me, maybe 2-3 other guys like me, with the young guys, right, to create this warm and fuzzy feeling, to create a buzz,
right?
Well,
your buzz wouldn't be as good as Kai's buzz, but it would still be a buzz. Let me read the list of people qualified. Kamala Gargani.
Wait. Read the list of people who are in it.
We don't know who's
I already read the list of the people who were invited. Now I'm reading the list of the people who are actually qualified.
Complete list of people who are actually going to compete.
No, you don't know who's going to compete.
We don't know yet. This is who's qualified. I'm going to tell you.
We don't even have the competitor list yet. Okay,
right? Gotcha. Because now they got to sign the contract. Now they got to dish out 10 to 15 grand to go there.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. So it's Kamala Gargani who won the last one, right?
Yeah.
Max Charles, Phil Klahar, Fred Biggie Smalls, Ken Jackson. The lineup sounds pretty good. Brian Garrison, Christopher Sullivan, Slavoj Bednar, Brandon Hatton, Michael Eli is good. Hernan Tabaraki, Dorian Haywood, who's good. Ray Short, Vladimir Agrinsky. So those are the people who have qualified. Now, technically on that list, they should have included all the Mr. Olympia champs like Brandon Curry.
True. Who are right? True.
I wonder why William Bonac wouldn't have put in an application to do this thing. He's got to be over. He's over 40.
Yes, 42.
When the last Masters Olympia I really followed was when I was helping Louis, and
that's a long time ago.
and that was in the 90s. But the point is still
Was
salient.
that the one in Virginia?
I don't remember where it was, but the point is, it was Lou Ferrigno competing in the Masters Olympia with Robbie Robinson.
That's why it was so popular, right?
Because it was what you would naturally think would happen after the guy got old. What's he going to do? He can't compete in the Open with the Masters. But now you got this list of people. I know 3 people on that list. Okay, you know 6, but there's 15. Who are these people? And you can't say I want new, fresh faces.
Right, let me ask you this. Let me ask Jimmy this question, since Jimmy, you always gone through the process. Are any of these people, or does the Masters Olympia promoters pay for anyone's airfare, hotel, or anything like that?
No, they don't pay for anything.
Okay, and what? I mean, you did the research. What does it cost to go over there and stay in a hotel? Have you done the numbers?
Yeah, it's over 10 grand. Even if you fly coach.
Okay, so, well, I'm assuming we're not big fans of
Japan, right?
So what's a flight to Japan cost for you? Like $3 grand?
About 3,500. Yeah.
All right, 3,500. Now the hotel is how much a night?
There's no host hotel.
Oh, so you have to get an Airbnb.
You know what? Is it in Tokyo?
There's like 3-4. There's like 3-4 hotels around. They're like between $300 and $400 a night.
At least.
So that's. And you got to stay for a week, you figure, right?
At least a week.
And food is like,
you're looking at $2,500 for the hotel. All right. So now we're up to about $6 grand.
You're in 10 grand.
$5 grand for food.
And then spray tan and all that other stuff. Yeah. Okay. So you're at about $8 grand. Yeah.
And that's
you go to McDonald's to get one hamburger, get one burger. It's like $50.
Do they throw you a free T-shirt or like a warm-up suit? Do you get any of that?
No goodie bag?
So think about.
We know bodybuilders will pay anything to compete. They don't give a shit. Yeah, most guys, but you know what? The top guys who are doing this as their living, like Brandon Curry, William Bonac. Okay, Phil doesn't need to do this. I mean, and even Kai, if he teased the idea of going in the show, these guys want to get paid. Okay, what's the first place prize for the?
I have no clue.
I don't imagine it's probably a ton of money. Do you? Is there any way to find this out? How much money it is for first place? I'll bet you it's like under 50 grand.
It's probably under 50.
So this sounds like a mammoth loser right off the bat.
Yeah. I hope it's not. Well,
we all hope it's not, but the reality is reality. I mean, you can only squeeze so many nickels out of so many dimes.
Look at it. I'm looking up this thing. Hold on. See if
so the thing is, I'm looking for it, but I haven't seen it anywhere because I would have known, because I would have just I would have remembered it. But as you notice, the Masters Olympia is every 2 years.
Yeah, the total purse is supposedly 229,000, but that doesn't.
Which means
there's a million divisions. There's a million divisions, so
they're not getting shit.
we don't know what they're getting. They're not getting a lot.
This is what happens when you sell an entity and just do that with it.
Well, I think it was very smart of Jake Wood to. I think you should do this with the Olympia too.
Well, what you got to do is you got to put caveats in place in order to preserve the integrity of the show. So in other words, if you're selling a piece of property, you have to have a caveat on it. For example, if you're near the airport, you have to have a caveat on the sale contract that says you can't erect a 500-foot tower on your property. It's going to be in the flight path of the airplanes.
Right.
All right. So you even though it's your property, you own it, you bought it, you still have restrictions on it. Same goes for an entity like the Olympia. You have to put restrictions on it. Otherwise, you're going to diminish its value and its standing in for the other people who have competed in it in the past. So you can't destroy that image by cheapening the product.
So my question is, and I obviously I'm over it, so I'm really not going to look at any details. But how many of these athletes, all over bikini, whatever, in any category, got their pro cards under 40 years old?
Oh, you're saying a lot of them got the Masters pro cards,
right? Yeah. So if they got their pro cards as a master, it's just an old age show.
You know,
It's what I said before. How can you look for new, fresh faces when they're all masters?
You know?
I think that really, if I was sitting down if the three of us were going to run the Masters Olympia, I would sit down and say, all right, listen, first of all, is it viable financially? It might not be. Okay, let's assume it is. Let's assume we're going to hold it in a country where we're going to pack that place out. Okay, but we're going to say to ourselves, listen, we got to sell some pay-per-views, right? We're not going to make money. What's going to get people to sit in those seats? Well, we got to get someone who's going to sell this show for us. Someone who everyone wants to see. And we might have to spend a little money to do it, but we got to get some name guys in this show, because if we don't do this, no one's going to care about the results of the show. No one's going to watch the show. It's like we're just doing it to say we did it, you know. And I think that that's a mistake. Yeah. Okay.
What I would do is I would do a brain flush of all the athletes that I think would really have an influence on the pay-per-view. Okay.
Right.
And I would say it was 10. I would hit all 10, because out of 10, you might get 3.
No, you don't. Well, I mean, I don't even think you need that. I think let's look at what Arnold did. Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to have that show 2 years ago, the Arnold, and they weren't getting any feedback. Remember, the Olympia was held very late that year. It was in December, and no one wanted to do it. And he said, you know what? We're going to give away $300,000 first place. Yeah. All of a sudden, everyone jumped in that show. Yeah. Everyone was in that show. Yeah. And the show became super popular. It was a great show. Everyone still remembers it to this day. We're all talking about it still. You know, so what did we learn there? Names in the show, okay, attract people's attention to the show, which makes the show more valid and more important. What got those guys there? Money. Okay. So the Masters Olympia, if they're going to run this thing right, they got to make either money available as in terms of prize money to attract people like Brandon Curry and William Bonac and or maybe both, get someone who is a master guy who we all want to see, we haven't seen for a bunch of years. I think that, you know, Phil comes to mind, but he's a 7-time Mr. Olympia. I don't know if we're going to really, no one is going to get so jazzed up about him, but for sure we want to see Kai again, right? I mean, there's not a single person, if you polled them, said, who would you rather see on stage, who still looks good? Right. Most people are going to say Kai, right? Right. So, and Kai actually expressed interest.
I would give Kai some money and a piece of the pay-per-view.
I mean, maybe, but I'm just saying.
Because as a businessman,
right?
I don't know how I'm going to go. Right?
That's true.
Three of us are here. It's like, okay, listen, we got $500,000. Okay, are we giving it all to Kai? We can't.
Yeah.
You know? So
the pay-per-view take would be a very novel idea, because no one's done that. They did it they do it in boxing,
right?
But no one's thought about to do it. You know what? If Kai really is going to pull that many pay-per-views, and Kai believes he can pull those pay-per-views, then, you know, put your money where your mouth is. Do the show, Kai. We'll give you 10, 15, 20, whatever percent of the pay-per-view.
There's only one problem with all of that.
What?
The powers that be that produce bodybuilding shows tend to be the cheapest people in the world. And so what happens is they're not cheap because they're cheap. They're cheap because there's no money. So,
but there is an ROI on this, John.
There's the basic tenet of business is you make something for 25 cents and you sell it for $1. In our case, it costs 25 cents to put it on. You might get 24 cents back, and that's the problem. There's no money. There's no money because for whatever reasons.
But Jimmy had a good idea. If they did a pay-per-view, they're going to do a pay-per-view, obviously.
Yeah.
So if Kai, in other words, let's say they sell. With the lineup they have right now, they'll be lucky if they sell 1,000 of them. But let's say they sell 10,000. With Kai Greene competing, okay, I think they could sell maybe a couple 100,000.
200,000 easy.
Easy. And if you give Kai, $1 on each one.
Give him $1.
Yeah, give him $1. I mean, and then there you go. There's his appearance fee that he wants.
Except the problem is that most people are just going to wait for his routine to come out on YouTube and they'll watch it there.
No, people are going to want to see the
people want the live.
I'll pay 25, 30, $40.
I would too.
I would no. I would definitely too. I'm just saying.
Kai's never won an Olympia title. This would be the Olympia title he never won.
There seems to be a reluctance in our
industry. Remember when Robbie beat Lou? That would be Kai. I
agree. I agree 100%. But there seems to be this situation in our industry where almost everybody is afraid to reach into their pocket. So I have never in my life anywhere else seen such attention paid to pennies as we do here. It's unbelievable.
You know why?
Stingiest, cheapest people on earth.
John? You know why, John?
Because there's no money.
No one's confident in their product.
Yeah. I guarantee you, if we were with MD right now, John, if we still worked for muscle development and we talked black,
he would have done it.
If we talked him into running the mask, he'd fly Kai in on a private jet.
Yep. You know why? Because Steve was that guy.
Yes, he knows. He gets it.
He got it. You know, no matter what he did and how he did things, right? He understood the game.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'll give him that.
But again, the game has changed in our sport. The game has changed. The contests have changed. Let's go back to the history. Okay. Let's talk about the pro cards. Follow me here. Back then, Weider created the shows and the Olympia because the final product was the magazines. Because he was selling advertising. He was selling the magazines. Okay? So he turned back to the NPC and said, hey, I don't want the riff and raff. I want the good guys. So you're going to have 2-3 pros a year. And basically, I'm going to sign them. So now he's got the quality. The NPC is doing their thing with the NPC cards and the promotions and this and this and this, right? So now the Olympia, Weider's gone. The product now is entry fees.
Right.
So I'm not saying this is a bad business. Just the game changed. Their product changed.
Well, you know,
the magazines, now the NPC and the IFBB have entry fees.
Yeah. Right. But Jimmy, you got to remember also the guys that are doing the master shows now, okay, are the same guys that you and I were competing with in the 90s.
How do you know?
There's more. I mean, there's more in addition to that, but I see them at the Masters Nationals. I know everything.
Okay.
So my point is that we didn't. 20 years ago, when we were young, there was no Masters guys competing. They didn't have a lot of people, but the 90s had this influx of bodybuilders into it, and those guys and women are still competing now in the Masters. So
and that's the product. It's the entry fees. They open the door for everybody to come back. I guarantee you that the Masters division is 50% of the NPC and the IFBB.
But that's on the amateurs. We're
talking
pros. I'm talking pro. The thing with the Weider thing you mentioned to me, you're half right. Back then, Joe put on the Olympia and whatever other involvements he had with shows with the NPC was to create content for his magazines. Right. That was it. He could care less how many people came to the show. He could care less how many competitors. He did not care.
But what he cared about was
he cared about having fodder for the issues, content for the magazines. And that's and like you said, it's because he was selling advertising and he had to keep the magazine and the sport alive and going because people relied on the magazines for their news and information about the sport because we had no internet. Okay, so the magazines were a vital part of competing. There was the IFBB and the NPC competing over, and there was the magazines, Weider and everybody else. We were together, it was co-joined. One needed the other. And now you don't. Right. You don't need it at all. Right. You don't even need the competitors anymore because you have influencers online. So you could literally do this virtually and have no competitors if you wanted to. But the fact is that there is, as Dave just said, these were the guys we were competing with back then. The natural progression of competitor means that a Masters show is going to have older people that used to compete that you recognize.
Right.
And now that we have no magazines, no content filler, we don't know who these people are because unless you're following their Instagram page, you have no clue.
Right. That's one thing. But I still think that, look, the show is far enough away. It's not too late at this point. I think that there has to, and look, I'd be willing to sit down with the promoters and brainstorm some ideas with them. I want this thing to be successful. I like the Masters Olympia. I used to go to all of them when they were held in the United States.
I sponsored them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but my point is that I think that they have to think about this from a business perspective. What's going to attract the most people to watch this? And look, like I said, Arnold had the Arnold out, and then he changed his mind. He's like, you know what? We're going to raise the prize money.
Right.
Like,
and I don't think
a month before he did that, it changed everything.
What you need is an equipment or a supplement company that needs a passive $10 million write-off.
No, no, John, that's not going to happen right now. What can happen is some sort of an enticement for a Kai Greene, whether it be a percentage of the pay-per-view or give him an appearance fee or whatever the case may be. Get a Kai Greene in that lineup against a Brandon Curry and a William Bonac. Now you got a show.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about the $10 million write-off. You need a huge chunk of cash to put into this thing.
Brandon Curry's all he wants is these expenses paid.
You're still thinking too small.
But
you got to give away $500,000 in first place. Wait, hear me out. You got to make this thing a gigantic spectacle, huge. Millions of dollars in investment in this thing to get the people to come to make the paper.
Right, you still have to make a profit.
You need the names.
Yes, you have to make a profit.
The names.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I'm also disappointed because Sandy, she's in the Olympia committee.
Right.
Will you think she get it?
Williams?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think she get it?
Don't you think that the promoters pick those the competitors?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. What does the promoter know any of these athletes?
The promoter invites.
We're in the
Arnold is the one who invites. Hold on. Arnold is the one who invited the competitors. Sandy's a judge, so she's not picking who's going there. She's just judging who's there.
He's part of the Olympia committee of the Masters.
I don't. Is there a committee that selects the people?
Yes, Alina Popa was on it. I know.
Well, supposedly you said you saw your name on the list, and you weren't on it. So who got you off who kicked you off the list?
Maybe that was the promoter, or maybe the promoter wanted something, or
it certainly wasn't any of the people in the United States who everyone knows you and likes you. So it wasn't that.
I guess I
Maybe you should have offered your brother's food truck to do the
€3.
Catering at the Olympia.
To me, it all boils down to money. That's what it comes down to. If you're a promoter and you have a big bunch of cash and you don't want to get any ROI, a bodybuilding contest is the thing to put on if you're looking for a write-off. Because the thing is, you got to look at it this way. You got some huge supplement company. There's a couple $100 million a year. Okay, big protein company. They're out there. If a several $1 million endowment to a competition like the Masters Olympia, number one, is a drop in the bucket to them. Number two, it has goodwill written all over it to go down into the ages because they're supporting the Masters. So it's supporting the sport and the longevity and the nostalgia of the sport, like you said before. So it makes sense to come up with a big giant pile of money, put a $500,000 first place on the Olympia, juice up everything else so it's dripping in cash, treat the athletes like gold, fly them in, put them up, travel them around, feed them, do everything, treat them like superstars. Then you got a pay-per-view that's going to attract. You're going to get them all. You're going to get everybody.
Given your business model, what they really should have done is they should have only held the men's open Masters Olympia.
Yes.
Right.
They shouldn't have done any other divisions. They should have gotten the 10 best guys they can get up there and invite whatever, bribe, however they had to get them up there, put the cash up for grabs and hold it as a standalone. That's it. The Masters Open men. That's it.
But John, here's the thing. I would put up $1 million, but I wouldn't say I want this year only. I want for the next 3 years. But you know what? I don't know for the next 2 years they're going to be around.
Well, they're putting up $230,000 for the total prize money. What if you just applied that all to the men's,
no, just for first place, I would be the title.
No. I'm saying, Jimmy,
No,
if you got $230,000 total prize money for all the things,
if
you applied it all just for the men's open, you'd have enough money to entice people there.
Correct. Correct.
I think you're stretching it. I mean, I think if you want to have an impactful lineup, you need an impactful prize money.
I understand that, but John, this is we don't know what their capability of raising money over there is in Japan. They don't want to do the show and lose their shirts. They're probably making all their profits on the amateur show.
How much money is in Japan?
I don't think Romania was a huge help for them going into Japan.
No. Well, think about it. The difference is if you go to Dubai, the Dubai tourism, department that gives the money.
Yes.
Right.
So it's not costing the Bader is not taking his own personal money and putting it up for the Dubai Pro Show to give away $200,000. Dubai, tourism center is giving them the $200,000 for the first place, and so that makes it much more palatable. Bader should have held the Masters Olympia.
Correct.
Maybe next year he'll do it.
I think every 2 years now. They won't hold it every year.
Yeah.
I think you need to put it into perspective. Let's say we're holding a Masters NBA basketball game in Japan. Okay, are you going to have a $230,000 prize purse for?
No,
NBA?
but you're also going to have it on NBC, and it's going to,
So the point is,
Netflix or someone's big is going to put up a lot of money.
Someone big is going to exactly.
No one cares about it bodybuilding enough. It's certainly not Masters bodybuilding.
Exactly. So all of the bitching and moaning about the lineups and who is it and it's all relative to how much money they're putting into it.
I think, but I think they water
back up the truck and shovel money out. They're going to get big names, and this is going to be a big show. But they're scraping the bottom right now.
The rumor is that Brandon requested some expenses to be paid.
Like what? Like airfare and hotel?
I don't know. Obviously,
at least that.
Brandon's a gentleman, and I just heard that he requested just some expense to be paid. Now, what some is, I don't know.
Right.
And he's not on the list. I guess he's not doing it.
That's really.
Did he say he's not doing it, or is he just he's not confirmed yet?
The list of competitors who have the right to go and compete they have the list.
Well, he has the right to go because he's an Olympia.
Right, so he should be on that list. Okay, because we don't know if what's his name is going to do it. I mean, I'm watching his videos and I don't think he's going to be ready. The guy who won last year, what's his name?
The first guy your list read off. I can't remember. Yeah.
The first guy. So, and here's my thing. Wouldn't they if the promoter was a true businessman, okay? And I'm not trying to him get offended here or insult him. There's a trip that this athlete has to take, and you're sending an invite out, okay? What I would do is say, "Hey, John, we are thinking of."
You're talking about Kamal. Okay, you're talking about Kamal.
We're thinking about inviting you to the Masters Olympia. How serious are you? Have that conversation. Oh, you tell me, Jimmy, I'm really serious. Okay, check your email. There's a contract. They sent all these invites out. How do they know they're going to go?
You can guarantee they're not going to go if you're going to say, I'm not paying for your airfare, I'm not paying for your hotel, I'm not feeding you, I'm not giving you anything, you don't even get a goodie bag. You get zero.
I have a client.
Then I can guarantee you no one's going.
I have a client who qualified in women's physique, okay? Via winning the Masters Pro World Championships at Gary Udit's show. And she told me they sat down and crunched the numbers like you did, Jimmy. They couldn't afford to go. It was too expensive. With hair, makeup, tanning, airfare, hotel, food. It was ridiculous. She's like, we could buy a car with that money. It's not. And for what? To get a trophy? Come on.
Wouldn't the promoter be smart enough to say, hey, the guys who qualified, they can come. We might not, even those guys might not come because it's so far away. But the people that we are going to invite, let's reach out to them and put their feet to the fire and say, hey, we're about to invite you. Because I expected that if they would come to me. Hey, Jimmy, we're about to invite you. Are you willing to sign a contract?
Yeah, you would have paid the money to go. You probably would have paid, right?
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't about the money for me. That's why I didn't even know how much money it was to win.
Right.
You know,
but you're an extreme case. Most people that are qualified to compete in this thing are not willing to pay their own way, pay for everything.
John, that's why it should have been 10 guys invited to do the Masters Mr. Olympia Open, and everyone got their flight paid for. Everyone got a hotel paid for.
I agree.
That's it.
That's
give away $100,000 for first place.
And you know what? Those are controlled numbers. And those are controlled numbers.
Yep. It would have cost them the same thing, probably.
Yeah, it would have cost them the same thing. And they probably would have attracted a name or two that were recognizable that would have bolstered their pay-per-view audience.
And then we could have sat down if we were the promoters and said, who's gonna sell this pay-per-view for us? Well, we need Kai, you know.
But you also got to think about it like this, right? Even if Kai gets $1 million, right? Let's say he gets $1 million. All right, let's say $1 million.
I don't think he wants $1 million, to be honest with you.
All right, it should be $1 million.
Yeah, but I think Kai would have gone for $100,000 probably.
Okay, so Kai gets $100,000. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Kai Greene, we're talking about now.
Yeah.
The Kai Greene.
Right.
Do you think he would go put himself up on stage with this lineup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
You think he would?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he would have said inside of his down and deep in his heart that he'd be wasting his time, but he's going to go for the $100,000 and the marketing side of it.
But
he's working for a new company now. He owns part of the company.
I get that.
This is a great marketing. That's what Levrone did. It doesn't even. Kai's a perfectionist. He'll go. He'll be his best he can be. He'll be the most entertaining performer on the stage. He will sell that pay-per-view like no one else could.
That's my point.
And if you're looking forward to 3 years from now,
it doesn't even matter if he wins or not.
Right. What matters is he shows up. It's going to entice other big names to show up.
That's my point.
Next year, you got Phil, you got Dexter Jackson, and the third year you got even more. So
that's my point. If Kai didn't have any attachments to this, right, he wouldn't have gone to waste his time. Even if he got $100,000.
I don't agree. I think I
think Kai has unfinished business. I think he wants an Olympia
title. I think so too. And I also think that you got to show respect to these people, to these athletes, and not just try to coax them out of the woodwork for pennies.
I agree.
So you got to make it respectful. You got to make it worthwhile. You got to make the numbers work. Dave, you're absolutely right. It should be limited to 10 guys. They come up with $300,000-$400,000 total purse. They spread it out. They make first place fat as fuck. And then I guarantee you're not only going to get Kai, you're going to what if Phil, using Phil euphemistically, any top pro, older top pro, retired top pro, here's the Kai's coming back. Hey man, I'm going too.
Right.
Because I can stand next to Kai. There's $300,000 here.
Listen, it's not easy retiring.
No.
So if you retired 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and there's that still that burn in you, and then there's some money at the Masters, you know what?
Bodybuilding is just one of those things that you cannot do on the cheap.
No.
You just can't do it. And it doesn't dissuade a never-ending parade of promoters who think they can. And you just can't.
Look, the ultimate business model at this show, John, and you said it right in the beginning, Jimmy, was the amateur Olympia that they're holding in conjunction with this show. That's the cash cow. All those people entering to try to get their pro cards are going to be paying application fees. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to fund this Masters Olympia, okay?
And the pay-per-view.
And the pay-per-view too, but I'm saying is no one's doing pay-per-view to watch the amateur.
But the pay-per-view could be enormous if they had the right.
If you get a Kai Greene, it's enormous.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, it's not if you have a Joe Bo Schmo who's on the stage,
Alfred Mobu Frutu de la Vega.
So, well,
somebody we all know.
we're throwing ideas out there because we all want to see this show super successful. There's a nostalgic,
listen,
inside of us that wants to see these guys back on stage as fans, as guys who report on the sport, and as fellow competitors. I can't do it anymore, because my body's not there anymore. But there are guys in their 50s. Kamala Gargney is a genetic freak. I mean, he's going to be 52 or 3, I think, for this show. And, he'll probably win it again. And so if, wouldn't you love to see Kamal stand next to Kai and Brandon Curry? Come on, man. That would be a phenomenal.
That would be awesome. But you got it. You attract flies with honey.
Yeah.
So you got to have the money. And if you're not waving the money in front of these guys' faces, they're not coming.
And I hate to give a Bleckman response to this, but I'm going to say it anyway. No one cares about the Masters women. I'm sorry to say. No one cares about the Masters Classic or the Masters 212. If you're a bodybuilder, as Lee Priest would say, you do the Open. Kamal's the 212 guy. He's doing the Open. He won last year. You get one shot to do the Open, and that's it. That's the Masters Olympia.
When did all of these arguments about bodybuilding start? They started as soon as men's bodybuilding stopped being a standalone event.
Right.
As soon as you polluted the water, you got dead fish.
It's not polluted. These other divisions work at the Olympia level. They work at other pro show levels because it's a diversity type of thing. It doesn't work at a Masters level.
Guys, it doesn't, Dave, it's not about work and diversity. It's just more entry fees, more pro cards.
Business, Jimmy. Come on, it's a business. I understand that. You understand that. They got to make money.
Yes.
But the Masters Olympia is a special occasion. It's a special show that focuses on the history of our sport, the legends, bringing them back. The guys that are still good. I don't want to see a legend that looks like a bag of shit. But I'm talking about bringing back the legends that still look good. The Kai Greenes, the Brandons, the Bonaks. These are the guys I want to see on stage, and it's not because I like them. It's just those are the best guys out there. I don't want to see guys. Phil Klahar is fine too. I don't, and Kamal, those guys look great. Nope. But I'm not interested in guys that won the Masters Nationals at 50 and over in that show that happened to be living in Japan and got an invite. I don't want to see it. Sorry. I don't want to see. I don't want to see Jocelyn Peltier on the stage.
Exactly. When you go to like a rock and roll revival concert, you want to see and hear name bands that were around and famous back in the day. You don't want to see the guys who never got a record deal.
Even if their voices are cracking and they can't sing right.
Right. Even if they're skinnier than they were before.
Even if. The point is, you don't want the cover band that opened at the Troubadour in 1984 because you have no idea who the fuck they were.
Sinatra at the end couldn't sing for shit, but people still fucking packed those theaters.
Elvis too. Elvis was fat as a cow, couldn't move. People were freaking filed in there like cattle,
Anyway, look, once again, we're not I'm not bashing anyone. We're throwing ideas out there because we want the show to be successful.
Again, I don't have any ill will. It was just something that, just caught me off guard because I knew I was on the list.
You know what I would do? You know what I would do for people like Jimmy Mentis? And obviously I'm friends with you, but I don't want to see this done to you. But I would say if there are people that want to do this show who I don't really want to invite because it's not going to add any value to the show, I'll charge you. It's going to cost you. You can pay an entry fee of $1,000 and you can do the show because that'll cover some of my expenses. And then it'll weed out the guys that are not really serious. So like you'll pay the $1,000 to do the show just to say I was in the Masters Olympia. And most people won't. So it'll add a few more people to the lineup. It'll generate some income for them.
So I was thinking the opposite.
What?
Post some pictures and videos 3 weeks out and say, hey, you sure you don't want me?
Well, why don't they do a qualifier? They should do an Olympia.
Well, there's no qualifier. That's what I'm saying.
They could do a virtual qualifier. They could.
It's called John. It's called OnlyFans. That's the deal.
Yeah. I mean, without the sex, but I mean, you could do that. I mean, in terms of developing a list of competitors that are worthwhile that you would know that you could sell that people wanted to see.
They should have hired Bleckman to find all. He's probably bored out of his mind right now. They should have said, Steve, I know you don't have anything to do all day. Can you just field the top 10 guys from the Masters for us?
I got so much work. I got so much work.
Dexter, what do you want?
Bro.
Dexter, I want 100 grand, Steve. All right, look, can we give you 75? Steve, I want
and you can't shoot for anyone for 72 hours after the show.
I want an exclusive, right? I want a 72-hour exclusive after that.
In all seriousness, he had a good eye.
He did.
Oh, he did. There was a lot good about him.
He was very good at marketing. He understood marketing.
It was a lot good with him. He's just the
And,
bad outweighed it, unfortunately.
You need they don't really have a strategy on this show, and I think that's the problem. So
it's like the Democratic Party.
I don't want to see a show that no one cares about, and everyone's like, "Oh, didn't the Masters take place this past weekend? Yeah, who won? I don't know. Kamal won again."
That's the thing. When you go back and you look at past Masters Olympia winners,
yes,
I mean, who do you get?
Dexter, Robbie,
Vince Taylor
three times.
You know, Robbie Robinson. You get big names we recognize. That list you just read off, I barely know two of those guys. I don't know what they look like. You know, you work with them, so I mean, you got like double what I got, but that's still not very much. It
is kind of weird. Yeah,
it's very weird. And what my fear is for the nostalgia of the sport and its pedigree is that you're diminishing its importance by putting this out there like this. To who are these people? You know.
Maybe as part of the sanction fee, they should have a certain amount of money you have to put in escrow that they can use as a enticement, like slush fund to get the name guys on the stage.
Well, it's going to come down to who's got the money.
Come on, what would it take to get Brandon Curry there? You throw him $10,000 to pay his expenses. He'll go.
But you're feeding the fire. That's the problem.
No, there's certain guys you got to pay more to.
But you're still doing it the cheapest way out. What's it going to take to get it? What I think we can get it for $100,000 or maybe 98. You know, it's like no, 500,000. You got to give him $500,000.
Well, that's for prize money, but not everyone's going to win. And Kai might not be so certain he's going to win, but if you give him an appearance fee, he'll show up,
right? Or if you give him a cut of the pay-per-view, he'll show up, right? And it'll motivate him to promote it on his social media.
Who's going to have a better routine than Kai? No one.
Listen,
no one.
This is a message to all the pros who are over 40 right now, have done the Olympia. I would call the promoter and say, I will come and do the Masters Olympia. You give me $1 for a pay-per-view, for every pay-per-view.
And they'll promote it.
William Bonek should do it. Brandon Curry should hop on there. Who else is over 40?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not everyone deserves $1 for each pay-per-view. I mean, you know what I mean? Like some guys might only deserve 10 cents, you know. But
it's a gray area. It's a gray area.
Because you can't give away the whole pay-per-view just to all the athletes, you know.
Well, I would start at $1, and then
$1 for the great guys. That's a lot of money. $1, you know.
Especially 200,000 to join. That's a lot of money.
Just don't forget, when you charge $40 for a pay-per-view, it's not all profit. You got to pay taxes on that. You got this administration fees. So you know, it's not. If you give someone $1, that's a lot of.
The other thing you got to factor in is that the pay-per-view price for us is not the same as India or Pakistan. Yeah. So if we're paying $40 for pay-per-view, they can't sell it for $40 in India because nobody's got $40. So,
there's a lot of people with $40.
No, but you do. You have to diminish the.
But John, at the end of the day, your goal is to get 200,000 views.
At the end of the day,
at that point, as a business, you don't care.
Right.
You get
if you got to give $1 of it to Kai Greene, you do.
Well, out of the 40,
you're only getting $3, and you give away.
I like how we're giving away everyone's money, John. We're giving away everyone's money. We're just kind of. We're giving away other people's money because you got to give it away in order to make this successful. No, I agree with you.
But it's not even your money.
Exactly. Yeah, true that. I mean,
it's not even your money. So think about
it. With the lineup they got now, no one's going to buy the pay-per-view. I can guarantee that.
They don't know who Alfred Mobufu de la Vega is.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that name? You've said it so many times.
I combined 3 or 4 of the ones that were on the list.
But the funny part is you keep saying the same one. Do you remember that?
He's consistent. He's very consistent.
I develop my characters as I go.
It's like it's like Greg Valentino's Joe Matarazzo, right?
Joe Matarazzo.
Right.
All right, I got to wrap this up. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for joining us today and giving us a lowdown on the Masters Olympia.
Much love, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and for all those for the Masters Olympia guys out there who are running the show, let's brainstorm, make this happen, do something exciting, get people excited about this show. and it will sell. And you know, we'll be the first guys to help you promote it.
I would be the first one to help promote, do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
Stop being so fucking cheap.
And on those words, we're out of time. We'll see you again next week for another installment of the Palumbo Podcast. Take it easy.